Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, sambungan pergolongan oleh menteri-menteri, dipersilakan dengan hormatnya. Yang berhormat Datuk Amar Douglas Uga Embas, Timbalan Premier, merangkap Menteri Kewangan dan Ekonomi Baru Kedua, dan juga Menteri Infrastruktur dan Pembangunan Pelabuhan. Yang hormatnya dipersilakan. Yang berhormat.
Selamat petang, Datuk Speaker. First of all, I would like to express my utmost appreciation to Tuan Yang Utama Yang di-Pertua Negeri Sarawak, Tun Pihing Seri Haji Abdul Taib Mahmud, for his opening address in the second meeting of the first session of the 9th Dewan Undangan Negeri on 17th of May 2022. His Excellency addresses will certainly serve as an earnest advice and wise guardian for us to continue in discharging our duties and responsibilities and steering Sarawak to prosper further toward achieving its aspiration to become a high-income economy by 2030. I would also like to extend my congratulations to our Premier Yang Amat Berhormat Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zohari bin Tun Datuk Abang Ji Openg on the GPS landslide victory and remarkable victory in the last 12 state election, winning 76 out of the 82 seats. This goes to show that the people of Sarawak have great confidence in the policies and initiative of GPS government, and their strong belief in our commitment and ability to protect the right and interests of our state. When we say Sarawak first, we meant it, and thus we will not waver in our effort to ensure that Sarawak will continue to progress and scale greater height, where at the end of the day, no one will be left behind. Therefore, we have full confidence and trust in our Premier able leadership, far-sighted vision, and wisdom in leading Sarawak and bringing our beloved state to a high level of development. Datuk Speaker, Economic Performance 2021 and Prospect for 2022. I would like now to update this August House on the latest economic performance for 2021 and the prospect for 2022. Global economy. The global economy is on its mending staff of recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic that has haunted us for the past 2 years. The global economic growth rebound from a negative 3.1% in 2020 to 6.1% in 2021. Nevertheless, the rebound is uneven. The advanced economy registered 5.2% growth in 2021, supported by high vaccination rate, relaxation of mobility restriction, changes in policy support, and improvement in private consumption. Both the United States and Euro area economy grow strongly at 5.7% and 5.3% respectively. But meanwhile, growth in the emerging market and developing economy expanded by 6.8%, supported by increased external demand and high commodity prices. China economic growth rebound to 8.1%, while India economy grew to 8.9% in 2021. As vaccination progressed unevenly, many emerging market economies continue to be disrupted by the containment measure to curb ongoing and renewed wave of COVID-19 risks that further dampen economic growth. While the world community are still struggling in fighting COVID-19, its adverse effect, the geopolitical tension with Russia's invasion of Ukraine has worsened the situation. This is because it has led to greater uncertainty, which carry a huge threat to the fragile global economic recovery processes. Commodity prices, especially for energy and food, have skyrocketed, which push up inflation, raise business operating costs, and affect consumer spending. This likely weakened the overall economic growth. Furthermore, the war has intensified global supply disruption. Commodities importing countries such as the European countries, China, Korea, and Japan, as well as low-income countries, are those that are vulnerable. Against this big drop, the IMF has projected the global economic activity to slow down in the short term, bringing the overall growth down to 3.6% in 2022. At the same time, global trade is projected to decline from 10.1% in 2021 to 5% in 2022. Dato' Speaker, national economy, the Malaysian economy grew by 3.1% in 2021 as the recovery was affected by the reintroduction of nationwide containment measure under the first phase of National Recovery Plan in June 2021, following the rise of COVID-19 cases. With better adaptation to the standard operating procedure, adoption of technology and work from home arrangement, as well as aggressive vaccination program, the Malaysian economy has experienced gradual reopening and normalization of economic activity toward the end of 2021. This is further supported by the continuous government policy aid and various COVID-19 assistance packages for household and business. Following a strong global economic recovery in 2021, the Malaysian economy is also supported by strong external demand, particularly for electrical and electronic products. Growth in the external sector is expected to remain strong in 2022. On top of this, our income from commodity export is also strengthening due to increased global commodity price. Overall, the Malaysian economy is projected to grow between 5.3% and 6.3% in 2022. The Sarawak economy, on the demand side, Sarawak total trade registered a growth of 26.6% from ringgit Malaysia 77.2 billion in 2020 to ringgit Malaysia 100.26 billion in 2021. Export grew by 29.9%, driven by an increase in export of LNG, crude petroleum, crude palm oil, petroleum product, aluminium, and ferroalloy. We anticipated the prices of this commodity remain strong, continue to contribute to the economic growth. Import increased by double-digit growth of 20.6% in 2021, while import of machinery and transport equipment increased by 11.2% due to the development growth. Better external demand performance is expected in 2022 with anticipation of high commodity prices and continued progress of construction activities in Sarawak. In 2021, private investment grew by 7.3%, supported by expansion in global demand and the realization of the new and ongoing investment. Sarawak has secured ringgit Malaysia 7.1 billion of investment in manufacturing sector in 2021. The investment in capital and intermediate good has also expanded. Following the continuous recovery in the economy, Sarawak anticipated to secure more investment in 2022 from both domestic and foreign sources. Public investment, on the other hand, grew by 18.2% in 2021, given increasing momentum in the implementation of infrastructure projects throughout Sarawak. On consumption, public consumption grew by 22% in 2021, attributed to high growth in COVID-19 related spending, such as procurement of vaccine and medical supply, as well as involvement. While private consumption grew marginally by 1.9% in 2021, supported by less restrictive containment measure which encouraged household spending. The various government aid provided through federal stimulus measure as well as Bantuan Khas Sarawak Kusayang have further stimulated consumer spending. In 2022, private consumption is projected to expand further, reinforced by improvement in labour market conditions. We foresee Sarawak economy to continue with the recovery path as economic activity normalizes, with the reopening of international border, continued growth in the external sector, and improved domestic activities in 2022. Nonetheless, the downside risks remain given ongoing Russian-Ukraine war. Overall, given this backdrop, Sarawak economy is projected to grow between 5 to 6% in 2022. Inflation. In 2021, Sarawak inflation rate was 2.1% compared to 1.8% deflation in 2020, owing largely to higher transportation costs, food and non-alcoholic beverages costs. For the first quarter of 2022, Sarawak inflation rate was at 1.9%. Food and non-alcoholic beverages remain the main contributor to the inflation. Being a net food importer, Sarawak may continue to see upward trend in inflation in 2022, coupled with the pressure from escalating world price if the conflict of Russian and Ukrainian prolonged. The Labour Force Department has reported this labour market, reported that in 2020, a total of 3,002 employees were retrenched and 3,765 employees experienced salary reduction. Whereas in 2021, 1,035 employees and 2,167 employees were retrenched and experienced salary reduction respectively. Over the last 2 years, majority of retrenchment were in food and hotel services, wholesale, retail and construction industry. However, in 2022, we expect labour market conditions to improve, underpinned by the expectation of continued normalization in economic activity. For the first quarter of 2022, that unemployment rate in Sarawak is reported at 3.2%, compared to 4.7% during the same period last year. Datuk Speaker, the spread of mitigating the impact of pandemic, the spread of COVID-19 pandemic posed an unprecedented major challenge to economy and society. Containing the epidemic, protecting people's life, and reviving the economy is a top priority of government worldwide. For Sarawak, we have taken various measures to mitigate the impact of pandemic, as well as undertaken bold steps to accelerate economic recovery and strengthen our economic resilience. Bantuan khas Sarawak Kusayang, an immediate measure to cushion and mitigate the impact of COVID pandemic. So government has implemented 8 BKSS packages covering more than 30 measures worth 5.7 billion. A sum of Ringgit Malaysia 3.63 billion was spent from April 2020 to December 2021, which benefit 3.3 million recipients, where direct cash assistance with the sum of Ringgit Malaysia 2.34 billion was spent on the 1.5 million recipients from the B40 group, frontline workers, media group, transportation, tourism, construction sectors, hawkers, petty traders, and small and medium enterprises. The government has spent the sum of Ringgit Malaysia 1.23 billion to reduce the cost of doing business and ease the financial burden of SMEs. This includes giving discount on utilities, waiver of permit, license fee, and hawkers, petty traders, discount on rental of marketplace, interest-free soft loan, interest rate of subsidy, abolishment of interest rate, a waiver of rental for SME operating at GLC premises. Other BKS initiatives include provide free face masks, personal protective equipment, other supplies and food basket for affected people by the movement control order have cost the government a sum of Ringgit Malaysia 56.3 million. To further ease the burden of the people affected by the COVID-19 pandemic, the government has decided to continue with some of the key initiatives, particularly non-cash assistance under BKS 8 for the first 6 months of 2022. The package is now in implementation. Datuk Speaker, performance of project implementation under the 12th plan. Now I wish to enlighten members of this August House on the implementation of various development projects under the 12th Malaysia Plan. 12th Malaysia Plan state-funded project. A total of 1,093 state-funded projects with a ceiling of Ringgit Malaysia 30 billion has been approved. Of these, 737 or 67% are physical projects, while the remaining 356 or 33% are non-physical projects. The non-physical projects include grant, contribution, investment, program, and event. As of 31st March 2022, out of 737 physical projects, 103 projects or 14% has been completed, while remaining 634 projects or 86% are still at the various stage of implementation. The cumulative expenditure from year 2021 up to 31st March 2022 was ringgit Malaysia 6.90 billion, or 23% against the total 12th Malaysia Plan ceiling. 12th Malaysia Plan federal budget, federal funded project, under the first rolling plan 2021-2022, a total of ringgit Malaysia 3.34 billion has been approved to implement 921 projects. A sum of ringgit Malaysia 1.97 billion, or 59.11%, was spent as of 31st December 2021, where these projects are at various stages of implementation. Meanwhile, as at 31st March 2022, a total of ringgit Malaysia 4.19 billion has been approved under the second rolling plan 2022-2023 to implement 914 projects, of which 412 are new projects. For the first quarter of 2022, ringgit Malaysia 430.44 million, or 12.89%, has been spent. Datuk Speaker, State Financial Performance first quarter 2022. As the first quarter of this year, the state has collected revenue of 3.108 billion, or 31% of the estimated revenue of ringgit Malaysia 10.036 billion, mainly from the following: state sales tax, ringgit Malaysia 1.248 billion; cash compensation in lieu of oil and gas right, ringgit Malaysia 876 million; dividend, ringgit Malaysia 634 million; raw water royalty, ringgit Malaysia 109 million; forestry receipt, ringgit Malaysia 66 million; interest and return from investment, ringgit Malaysia 57 million; land premium, ringgit Malaysia 39 million; federal grant and reinvestment, ringgit Malaysia 19 million. Other sources such as mining, royalty, water sales, and land rent, ringgit Malaysia 60 million. The ordinary expenditure. The state ordinary expenditure is revised upward from ringgit Malaysia 10.646 billion to ringgit Malaysia 10.706 billion, an increase of ringgit Malaysia 60.064 million, or 0.01% for the year 2022, to cater for the additional grant to 23 local authority for Bantuan Khas Sarawak Ku Sayang initiative, which is extended to June this year. First quarter, a sum of ringgit Malaysia 2.577 billion of ordinary expenditure, or 24%, has been expended. Development expenditure. For the first quarter of this year, the state has spent ringgit Malaysia 1.632 billion, or 22% of the approved development expenditure. This expenditure is expected to increase as development momentum continues to pick up as we enter the endemic phase. In this respect, I urge all the controlling officers, heads of government department, to continue their commitment and dedication to implement and monitor projects closely to ensure that all approved budgets are completed on schedule and within budget. Therefore, all programs and projects under the 12th Malaysia Plan, particularly those of high impact, have greater multiplier effect to the rakyat, must be implemented smoothly and speedily. Proactive and preventive measures should also be undertaken diligently to address any problematic and delayed project. The concerted effort of all department agencies working together in unison would help to expedite project development and completion, thus helping to stimulate domestic socio-economic activity and spur the growth of the state economy. Revenue re-engineering. The passing of the Land Court Bill Amendment 2022 and Forestry Amendment Bill 2022 by this August House last week is indeed timely, and indeed is part of the puzzle of the government revenue re-engineering effort in diversifying and expanding our revenue base. The Land Court Amendment Bill 2022 provides Sarawak government the right to control and regulate our land and airspace, including spectrum above the land, to make provision for the regulating the use of land, both onshore and continental shelf for Sarawak, for the storage of carbon dioxide by oil and gas company operating in Sarawak. With the passing of this bill, all interested parties are required to apply for necessary approval, license, and charges for the injection of carbon dioxide passes into our onshore or offshore can be imposed patent fee can be collected. With this amendment, the Forestry Amendment Bill will empower the state government to collect royalties, premier, levy, taxes for in connection with the forest carbon activity. Under this bill, a license of forest carbon activity would be issued upon payment of necessary fee and charges. The bill will also make it mandatory for any person to obtain a license before undertaking the forestry carbon activity. I'd like to commend our young Muhammad Premier for his foresight, his courage in mounting this idea has not only retained our state right over land and airspace, but also would help to generate future revenue stream for Sarawak in a significant way. Tuan Speaker, good governance and prudent financial management. The state has always been upholding and maintaining good governance practices to achieve and sustain its sound financial position. In this respect, it is my pleasure to inform this August House that Sarawak is once again accorded a clean certificate, that is unqualified report for its financial account for the year ended 31st December 2020. With this, Sarawak has earned 19 consecutive years of clean record for its financial statement. Notwithstanding that, both the international and domestic rating houses have also reaffirmed commendable investment grade credit rating to Sarawak. Modi and Standard & Poor have reaffirmed the rating at A3 and A- respectively, while rating agency Malaysia RM has reaffirmed Sarawak with a credit rating of AAA, AAA. This is again a clear testimony of Sarawak good governance and prudent financial management in managing its financial affairs. I'd like to thank all the civil servants for steadfastly upholding good financial management and practicing good governance. I also like to assure this August House that my ministry will continue to ensure sound financial management through adopting international best standards, leveraging digital technology, as well as strengthening the professionalism and competency of our officers. Datuk Speaker, Karol Accounting. Now I wish to enlighten this August House on the preparation of implementation of Karol Accounting in Sarawak Public Account. In line with the Article 1084F of the Federal Constitution, the National Finance Council has agreed at its meeting of 30 July 2013 to implement Karol Accounting for both the federal and state government, together with the proposed bill to be amended Financial Procedure Act 1957. In this respect, the Accountant General Department of Malaysia has prepared Malaysia Public Sector Accounting Standard based on International Public Sector Accounting Standard for the purpose of implementing accrual accounting. For Sarawak, the implementation of accrual accounting is in line with the Financial Management Transformation Initiative to strengthen the government financial management and accounting system. Accrual accounting facilitates better planning, financial management, and decision-making in government, as well as robust and accepted way of measuring the economy, efficiency, and effectiveness of public policy. It would also allow us to have long-term view of public finance, improving value for money, enhancing the transparency of financial information. The Sarawak government will be migrating from modified cash basis to accrual accounting basis for the state financial statement and reporting upon approval by Parliament on the amendment of Financial Procedure Act 1957 to cater for the accrual accounting and announcement of the Federal Finance Minister on implementation date for both federal and the state government. Tuan Speaker, Procurement Improvement Initiative. Given the need to create greater accountability and efficiency, we will also continue to enhance government procurement policies and procedure through the implementation of various procurement initiatives as follows. 1. A revision of limit authority for consideration of restricted tender, open pre-qualification tender, direct award, turnkey direct negotiation for state-funded work, supplies and services. 2. Enhancement of state tender evaluation model for selection of contractors for all state agencies based on JKR tender evaluation model, JKR nilai. 3. Development of state e-procurement system which is scheduled to be completed in 2024, aim at further enhancing the efficiency, effectiveness, and transparency of the existing procurement processes based on international best practices. 4. Online registration for contractors, suppliers, and consultants for the creation of business-friendly environment that will speed up the registration process, ease payment via online payment platform, and provide a secure application channel through users of digital certificate. And 5. Comprehensive study to enhance service delivery of contractors, consultants, and suppliers registration procedure. Dato' Speaker, the COVID pandemic has inevitably posed significant impact on the construction industry, particularly in the surge price of material, which has adversely affected the implementation of state projects. Dato' Speaker, in this respect, in response to the issue raised by Ali Yang Berhormat for Pedungan pertaining to measure to ease the contractor financial burden due to escalating price of construction material, I wish to inform that the Sarawak government has in fact already adopted the federal government policy to allow variation of price for certain material in the state-funded project effective 1st January 2021 to 31st December 2021. This covers major construction material including enforcement bar, crushed aggregate, crushed run, mild steel pipe, water and sewage pipes, steel shell pipes, and so on. In addition, the state government has also introduced other procurement initiatives to reduce project downtime as well as to ensure smooth project implementation. These measures, among others, are 1. Adding a new subcontracting subletting clause in the state contract, which allowed the government to intervene by assigning part of the main contractor work to subcontractor in the event the progress percentage of work as stipulated in the contract is not achievable. Establishing a list of rescue contractor to be considered to take over and rescue sick and abandoned project to expedite completion of such project. 3. Allowing minimum monthly interim payment of Ringgit Malaysia 1,000 on actual work done on site for all work contract to assist contractor in managing their project's cash flow. Dato' Speaker, state sales tax on oil and gas. In response to issue raised by Ali Yang Berhormat for Bawang Asan on whether or not Petronas has paid Ringgit Malaysia 3.876 billion state sales tax on oil and gas as budgeted in 2022 estimate, I wish to inform that the Ringgit Malaysia 3.876 billion budgeted for state sales tax in 2022 comprises sales tax for various taxable items, not just oil and gas, of which the breakdown are as follows. Oil and gas is Ringgit Malaysia 3.162 billion, crude palm oil and crude palm kernel oil is Ringgit Malaysia 600 million, 3. Lottery RM 60 million, 4. Tire RM 5 million, and aluminium RM 49 million. For the year 2021, a sum of Ringgit Malaysia 2.458 billion were received for state sales tax on oil and gas, whereas for the first quarter of this year, RM 813 million has been collected. For the information of this August House, the sales tax on oil and gas has become the major contributor to the overall state revenue. Since the imposition on the 1st January 2019, the total revenue collected from this source amounting to Ringgit Malaysia 8.52 billion to date. I think I better repeat. Since its inception of 1st January 2019, the total revenue collected from this source amounting to Ringgit Malaysia 8.52 billion to date. Ada orang kata kita tak terima duit. Dato' Speaker, state investment in server dynamic. In response to issue raised by Ali Yang Berhormat for Batu Lintang on the state investment in server dynamic, I wish to highlight that any investment by the state in a listed stock are based on thorough analysis and assessment on the company fundamental, financial, and its potential prospect and growth. When the state participated in thermodynamic initial public offering back in 2017 and subsequent investment prior to COVID-19 pandemic, the financial position of the company was strong, with a revenue of Ringgit Malaysia 2.72 billion in 2017 and Ringgit Malaysia 4.52 billion in 2019, with profit after tax of Ringgit Malaysia 304.79 million and Ringgit Malaysia 497.98 million in 2018-2019 respectively. In fact, to date, the state has received a total of Ringgit Malaysia 22.552 million dividend payout from the company, with the yearly dividend yield ranging from 4.6% to 6.9%. In addition to that dividend, the state has also received share split and bonus fee, free at cost, amounting to 66 million shares. Datuk Speaker, undeniably, all investment carry some degree of risk. Of course, no guarantee can be given about future performance, and any decision to invest should not be construed as offering such a guarantee. I'm sure when the YB invests also, you are in the same position. In the case of thermodynamic, no one could have anticipated for things to derail unexpectedly. The company is currently going through a series of interim setbacks. Nonetheless, the latest update indicates the company is looking into a turnaround, and restructuring with existing investors are looking forward to. Datuk Speaker, the investment is closely monitored, and we wish not to reach to a position whereby too often investment decisions are made based upon isolated and short-term consideration at the heat of the moment, without regard to the portfolio as a whole. The state investments are intended for long-term value appreciation and not for short-term trading. Datuk Speaker, Development Bank of Sarawak. In response to issue raised by Yang Berhormat Ali Yang Berhormat for Bawang Asan on matters pertaining to Development Bank of Sarawak, DBOS, first of all, I would like to recap on the essence of the formation of DBOS moted by our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier back in 2017 and its strategic role in accelerating the development in the state. Datuk Speaker, the main purpose of DBOS establishment is to finance strategic infrastructure projects in Sarawak. As we all know, there are still massive effort to be done to develop our state infrastructure. There are areas including Bawang Asan yang belum ada api, belum ada air, that need road, bridges, and electricity. Many areas did not have 24-hour electricity, clean water, neither they have good road connectivity and accessibility. With this realization and the need to resolve this issue as promptly as possible, our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier, upon assuming the leadership of Sarawak government, has pledged his full commitment to ensure that all Sarawakians will not be deprived of this basic infrastructure and will provide opportunity for a better and more prosperous life. Datuk Speaker, to meet this development agenda requires huge capital investment, which Yang Berhormat Bawang Asan is fully aware of, because he was once a Minister of Finance. To be in control of our development effort in concerted and self-determining manner, we have to resort to a drastic solution of safe funding this long outstanding infrastructure project, especially in the rural areas. Hence, this prompted the state to look at alternative capital funding mechanism, that is through the establishment of DBOS. Leveraging on DBOS will facilitate and provide the state the physical flexibility and strategizing its development program, whereby alternative source of funding will ensure funds are readily available to keep the development momentum continue without the uncertainty of funding from other internal or from federal government, neither being dependent on PFI or on the public market. For the information of Yang Berhormat dari Bawang Hassan, I wish to update as of 31st March 2022, the total placement of deposit in DBOS were ringgit Malaysia 7.16 billion, while the bank total approved credit facilities for state infrastructure project were at ringgit Malaysia 9.70 billion. 9.70 billion. The loan was disbursed mainly to be utilized for the state public infrastructure. For the information of this House, Yang Berhormat is able to approve 1.5 billion to regional agencies like Northern Development Agencies, Highland Development Agencies, URDA, ISDA, SADA, each 1.5 billion. We also can proceed with the construction of our second trunk road. And this is a manifestation that the boss helps us to move forward to ensure the gap is to be closed. And that way, more development can be implemented. And without the boss, I think Yang Berhormat dari Bawang Hassan knows this project cannot be carried out. So during this initial operating period, there's a question on the dividend. The boss is granted by the Federal Ministry of Finance a tax exemption which requires profit earned by the boss to be reinvested into funding of infrastructure projects in the state. To my Speaker, I would like to express, before I conclude, express my sincere thanks to all honourable members for their support during the sitting of this August House. I wish to take the opportunity to wish all the Muslim Selamat Hari Raya, and those who are celebrating Gawai, Selamat Hari Gawai, Gayu Guru, Gerai Nyamai, and to everyone, stay vigilant and stay safe. Thank you.
Yang Berhormat Deputy Premier, they stood up. Would you give way? No? No, he's not giving way.
I have concluded, sir.
Okay, right. So, Yang Berhormat Bawang Hassan, well, under Order 33B, as you know, yeah, I cannot allow you. Yang Berhormat Datuk Amar, Deputy Premier, we'll take a short break, Yang Berhormat semua, to allow you to give your second ministry speech.
Okay.
We'll take a short break of 15 minutes.
Be too late.
Sekarang saya menjemput Yang Berhormat Timbalan Premier untuk menyambungkan ucapan penggulungan.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Speaker. Salam hormat, salam sejahtera, salam Ibu Pertiwi pembuka bicara. Ucapan penggulungan untuk semua bangunkan Sarawak BC bersama. Before I proceed, Tan Sri Speaker, I would like to join all Yang Berhormat in this August House to express our utmost gratitude and appreciation to Tuan Yang Utama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak, Tun Ping Sri Haji Abdul Taib Mahmud, for officiating the second meeting of the first session of the 19th State Legislative Assembly on the 17th of May 2022. In His Excellency's speech, Tuan Yang Utama addressed the importance of setting a strategy for developing and improving infrastructure and port to enjoy prosperity, social inclusivity, and sustainable environment for Sarawak economic growth. My ministry will rely on Excellency Insight address as a guide and direction as we discharge our task and responsibility to transform Sarawak into a developed state. I'd like to take this opportunity to congratulate Tun Ping Sri Dr. Mahmud on Excellency's appointment as Tuan Yang Pertama Yang Pertuan Negeri Sarawak for the third term from 1st of March 2022. My heartiest congratulations to Yang Berhormat Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zuhari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Oping for leading Gabungan Parti Sarawak to a landslide victory in the recent 12th state election. The GPS government will continue to bring more development to Sarawak and ensure that Sarawak will continue to reap the benefit of development regardless of political alliance, race, creed, rural or urban. I was to thank also Yang Berhormat Premier of Sarawak for his confidence and trust in appointing me as the Minister of Infrastructure and Port Development. Planning for Sarawak infrastructure and port is indeed a challenging job. Rest assured I will do my best with my capacity as a Minister and the legislative representative as a Rakyat. My ministry will continue to pursue its main agenda, which is to facilitate economic growth, including trade growth by focusing on rural connectivity and port development. Tan Sri Speaker, I would like to express my heartfelt condolences to the family of late Tan Sri Datuk Amar Dr. James Jimut Masing, former Sarawak Deputy Chief Minister and Minister for Infrastructure and Port Development, who passed away in October 2021. Our state had lost a leader who had the soul of the Rakyat in his heart and always strove for development, especially in rural areas. His contribution and services will always be remembered in the annals of Sarawak political history. Tan Sri Speaker, Sarawak COVID journey. First, I would like to touch Sarawak COVID journey. Since 2020, the COVID pandemic was declared, rapidly overwhelmed the entire world. No countries were spared from its drastic impact, neither Malaysia nor Sarawak. And the last 2 years has been very challenging for all of us. Many lives were lost, education and livelihood disrupted, families separated. However, since the very beginning, Sarawak government has been very focused in its aim, which is to protect life and prevent as many deaths as possible. This year, our fight against COVID has reached a significant turning point. Considering the milestone achieved, the Sarawak government decided it is safe for us to live near normal life with minimum restriction. On the 1st of April 2022, the Sarawak government has made a decisive step to join the national movement to transition from pandemic status to transition into endemicity. The Sarawak government is confident that we can move forward to a transition to endemicity as we have achieved the following milestone. One, we have high vaccination rate. To date, 91.1% of the adult population have received 2 doses of vaccination. Number two, we have readily available testing facilities, including acceptance of rapid test kit. Number 3, we have stock of Palovit antiviral pill in our hospital. And number 4, we have set up field hospital in Cebu. We'll be setting up field hospital in Kuching and Miri to prepare for any eventualities. The Sarawak Disaster Management Committee would like to express our appreciation and gratitude to Yang Muhammad Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abdul Rahman Zohari Bintun Haji Upeng, the Premier of Sarawak, for his unwavering support, including approval of immediate financial assistance in the effort to curb the spread of COVID-19, preventing more deaths, and to provide social safety net to elevate the vulnerable group. Firstly, his approval of 300 million which assists SDMC in its operation. Secondly, approval of Ringgit Malaysia 5.7 billion for 8 Sarawak Kusayang Special Assistance to alleviate the burden of people affected by the pandemic. To fellow colleagues, ministers, Ali and Muhammad, community leaders, government agencies, NGO, businesses, essential workers and civil servants, thank you for your cooperation, perseverance and commitment to protect the life and livelihood of Sarawakian. Above all, for the tremendous sacrifice of our healthcare workers, frontliners, I would like to express our utmost respect and gratitude for risking exposure you care for the affected patient. Thank you. Moving forward, the Sarawak government will continue to monitor the COVID-19 situation nationally and globally. Throughout our journey, we have kept our unity and supported one another in solidarity. The unity we have inculcated and the trust given by the people of Sarawak to our GPS government remain crucial as we tackle the pandemic. Therefore, I'd like to thank everyone for the sacrifice made, your continued trust and support given to Sarawak GPS government. Thank you, Rakyat Sarawak. Terima kasih. Tuan Sri Speaker, post-COVID development strategy, the Sarawak government has taken serious initiative to improve strengthening its economy by implementing the post-COVID development strategy 2030. Under the PCDS 2030, my ministry has been entrusted with coordinating and leading the basic infrastructure cluster. This will be an enabler for economic growth. 8 catalytic initiatives has been included in my ministry PCDS. They are efficient port services, major road, free zone at Senari, free trade zone, southern terminal, green reinvigorate Mary Port, green infrastructure, urban transport network, and sustainable building development. Putting all these initiatives in place will further spur our economic growth. At the same time, we were able to raise the standard of living of our Rakyat by providing job and economic activities. Mr. Speaker, a current coverage, road connectivity is of paramount importance to Sarawak. It is to provide new opportunities and unlock economic potential. A total of 30,650 kilometers of state road and 1,591 kilometers of federal road has been registered in Sarawak. This does not include privately owned road such as plantation and logging road. As our population is scattered, the connectivity to rural settlement is indeed one of the biggest struggle for us in Sarawak. However, this is not an excuse for us to neglect our rural areas. Everyone deserves to enjoy Sarawak economic prosperity, social inclusivity, and sustainable environment. Mr. Speaker, in March 22, we conducted a workshop on database for Sarawak rural road connectivity. The purpose was to establish a database, formulate strategies to achieve 100% connectivity throughout the span of breadth of Sarawak. Based on the preliminary information collected during the workshop, if we were to link all settlement in Sarawak, an estimate length of 6,000 kilometers of new road are to be constructed and 4,200 kilometers of existing substandard road are to be upgraded. As I've said, the geographical landscape of Sarawak is challenging. Remoteness of area in Sarawak make it challenging building road and maintaining them. However, one cannot deny the infrastructure form the backbone of a functioning society. Tuan Speaker, sir, let me update this August House on the various ongoing programs undertaken or supervised by the ministry. First, the Pen Borneo Highway. Pen Borneo Highway Phase 1, with the construction costing 16 billion, is one of the mega infrastructure projects in Sarawak. The longest Pen Borneo flyover in Nyambau Interchange in Bintulu span 1.23 kilometers were opened to public in January 2022. The completion of 2 flyovers in SIARAN has dramatically smoothed the driving experience in and around Serian town. The traffic congestion of Kuching Serian will soon see better days as Mile 6 flyover will be open to public by the end of June 2022 and Mile 7 flyover will be end of May 2022, while Mile 10 flyover is now possible to traffic. The Mile 4.5 flyover open to public in May 2021. We will coordinate with Kementerian Kerja Raya Malaysia to ensure its timely completion. Coastal Road Network. The Coastal Road Network is divided into three components. One, replacement of 7 existing ferry crossing bridges, Batang Remungan, Batang Lupa, Batang Seribas, Sungai Krian, Batang Paloh, Muara Lasak, dan Batang Ikan. Currently, these bridges are at the very stage of construction, and all bridges are expected to be completed by the end of 2025. 2, the construction of missing link, the comprising of Jalan Pasik to Jalan Sibu, Tanjung Manis, including Batang Rajang Bridge. B, Bentulu Jepak Bridge across Kuala Kamana. C, proposed second Kuching Samarahan Trang Road. All these are currently under construction, are anticipated to be completed by the end of 2025. Upgrading and rehabilitating work of 331 kilometers of existing coastal road are divided into 30 packages. 3 packages have been completed, 20 under construction, 6 are tender stage, 1 is under design. The country speaker, the second trunk road. The second trunk road serves to provide alternative shorter route to the main trunk road, Pen Borneo Highway and Coastal Road. 3 sections of the second trunk road. First section is from Samarahan to Roban of length approximately 122 kilometers, single carriageway. 2, second link Boyao to Betong, which is approximately 94 single carriageway highway. Third section include upgrading of existing Jalan Kelopuk, Jalan Tanjung Genting, and Lanang Bridge, Sibu. Under the second trunk road project, there are 14 packages, whereby 6 packages have been awarded and 8 packages are currently under design. The country speaker, Project Rakyat. Sarawak government continue to maintain a Rakyat and centric development project budget under which my ministry is entrusted to implement. 208 projects, a total cost of 8.1 billion. This compromises of 111 roads worth 4.15 billion, 44 bridges worth 2.3 billion, 42 buildings worth 1.2 billion, 4 jetty worth 1.47 million, and 2 take-off and landing airport worth about 340 million. One speaker, sir, please allow me to update this August House on the progress of this Project Rakyat. 70 Project Rakyat, or 34%, are completed, 69 or 33% are under construction, and 69 or 33% are currently at pre-contract stage. 38 out of 69 projects currently under construction are expected to be completed by the end of 2022, while the rest completed at stage between 2023 and 2024. Tuan Speaker, Sarawak Sabah Link Road and Trans-Borneo Highway, a huge number of resources expected to be shifted to the northern region of Sarawak, Limbang and Lawas over the next 8 to 10 years. In March 2022, I repeat, in March 2022, the federal government approved the construction of Sarawak Sabah Link Road, Phase 2 and Trans-Borneo Highway project. The SSR Project 1 from Simpang Gelagus to Long Lopeng Lawas, 77 km currently under construction and expected to be completed quarter 2026. Construction of SSLR Phase 2 will be divided into 3 sections. Section 1, Mulu to Limbang. Section 2, Long Lopeng to Baklalan. Section 3, from Limbang to Long Marap. Meanwhile, for the Trans-Borneo, the construction will also be divided into 3 sections, namely Section Miri, Kuala Baram to Sungai Tujuh, Section Limbang, from ICQS to Dungan to ICQS Panduran, Section Lawas, from Lawas Town to ICQS Marapok. Both projects expected to commence in 2023. As a federal-state relationship is cordial, the endeavor to enhance infrastructure in Sarawak will progress by leaps and bounds. Ports status support. For the year 2021, Sarawak State Ports record a total throughput of 20.6 million ton, an increase of about 4.6% in comparison to 19.7 million ton in 2020. As of 30th April 2022, Sarawak State Port registered total throughput of 7.49 million ton, an increase of 8.6% in comparison to 6.89 million ton for the same period. Kuching Port Authority handled 3.2 million ton, an increase of 8.1%. Rajang Port Authority handled 0.48 million ton, an increase of 4.3% from 2021. Semelayu Port Authority registered a total of 2.17 million ton, an increase of 22.6% from 1.7 million ton. Tanjung Manis Port registered a throughput of about 0.62 million ton, an increase in a major comparison with 2021. With a total throughput of 1.01 million ton recorded, Mary Port Authority registered a decrease of 4.7% from 1.0 million ton. Mr. Speaker, the Sarawak government is committed to its role in supporting port development by constantly improving the efficiency of the port services, meeting global and domestic demand. The development of our port being given priority to spur economic activity toward achieving high-income society by 2030. Under the 12th plan, my ministry will be embarking on a study to develop a comprehensive plan for all the state ports to enhance efficiency of their services and explore more business opportunities. My ministry is also looking into upgrading port facilities and equipment in stages, with the location funded by Sarawak government amounting to ringgit Malaysia 70 million for Kuching Port Authority. A vessel traffic management system is currently being installed in Kuching Port to enhance the safety of navigation that allow authority to track and monitor vessel movement within its radar coverage. My ministry and the Port Authority, with the strong support from the state government, will continue to ensure effective and efficient management of port operation resources and improve port delivery services and explore new areas of business opportunities. Mr. Speaker, now I'd like to address the issue of the SIG project, especially the road. The aftermath of the pandemic has inevitably brought about repercussions of global scale affecting all economic sectors, including the build industry, with project schedule disruption, increased construction costs, disrupted supply chain and manpower shortages. In the last 2 years, restrictions due to COVID-19 pandemic through lockdown and movement control order seriously affected several projects and development initiatives for the Sarawak government. Since being entrusted to the helm of this ministry, my main focus has been addressing the SIG project. Presently, there are 33% or 85 projects out of 250 ongoing projects is categorized as SIG project. Jabatan Kerja Raya Sarawak under my ministry duly identified and highlighted 4 key aspects of market challenges and constraints on this, the root cause of the SIG project. One is the manpower availability. The manpower shortages encountered in the current local build industry is direct consequences of the pandemic. This is mainly due to the expiration of foreign workers permit, border policies, and reliance on foreign workers for projects under the purview of the state. Number 2, construction machinery availability. The unavailability of construction machinery due to restriction imposed on movement, both global and within Malaysia, have created implications on the source of supply of specialized construction materials such as piling rig, fabricated vertical drain rig, bridge construction machine, and so on. Number 3, the rising cost of construction material. The rising cost of construction material is a consequence of the backlog and the global demand for construction material, especially metal, increased cement charges, price hike in crude oil, disruption in supply chain of raw material, thereby causing cost construction material to increase continuously steeply since the last quarter of 2020 until the present. Pursuant to Federal Circular P24, pelaksanaan syarat perubahan harga dalam kontrak kerja on 15 July 2021, the Sarawak government follow suit via the State Financial Secretary Circular June 2021 dated 28 September 2021 on BKKS7 for all new and ongoing state projects. Notwithstanding that, because of the persistent price war affecting the building ministry, my ministry has undertaken an initiative to work out a proposal to the Cabinet. This initiative are to consider additional major construction material with price inflation of over 10% from December 2020 until now, based on the Department of Statistics published data. This is to further assist under VOP provision on top of that has been already approved under BKS 7. Consideration also requested from the Cabinet to extend the VOP provision until December 2022. Material source availability, the decline in global supply, also detrimental to the equilibrium chain supply and demand worldwide locality. The rate of material supply have reached saturation point in Sarawak. Our solution to the SIG project, upon progress in our effort to address the SIG project, Jabatan Kerja Raya established plan to administer the project status based on contractual requirement. This is to standardize corrective action taken by department project team. Upon project progress failing behind the implementation schedule, the project team shall execute necessary intervention to reduce the number of delays in SIG project. For contractors affected by the market constraint during pandemic, assistance is offered to ease this burden, among others: 1. Extension of time, 2. Variation of price, 3. Suspension of work, 4. Deed of assignment of work, and 5. Mutual termination. Should a project be considered beyond rescue and uneconomical for the contractor to continue, then termination of the contract work is inevitable. A project revival strategy is executed to remain the work required under the shortest possible time. Mr. Speaker, the impact of pandemic has taught the industry to work within capacity constraint. Therefore, the lessons learned are: 1. Reducing labor intensity by adopting new construction method and leveraging on technologies and data system, innovation, automation throughout life cycle. 2. Long-term approach collaboration with other stakeholders. 3. Maximizing the utilization of domestic resources with potential replacement of indigenous rock material granite such as limestone, sandstone, hard shell, and gravel as alternative material and support shortages in supply. And 6. To avoid additional major essential construction material under the new initiative of BOP. To include. Mr. Speaker, with the establishment of the Infrastructure Project Monitoring Committee headed by the Honourable Deputy Minister for Infrastructure, my ministry will assist Jabatan Kerja Raya Sarawak in resolving project implementation issues, monitor the factors contributing to delay in project delivery. My ministry and Jabatan Kerja Raya are acting decisively to address this problem. Mr. Speaker, a number of Yang Berhormat have raised issues on my ministry. Over the last few days, various issues and challenges has been raised and debated. I shall respond to some of the issues raised under the purview of my ministry. Port. For the information of Ali Yang Berhormat from Pujut, currently state government is still studying on reinvigorating Mary Port as the northern gateway to Sarawak, which include resolving the issue of that evolved around the Mary Port. On street lighting, for information of Yang Berhormat from Lingga, currently there is no provision to install street lighting on Triso, Meludam, Sembau, Lingga, and Kejatau, Lingga. Road and bridges. Mr. Speaker, for the information of Ali Yang Berhormat for Tebeduk, the proposed Jalan Temong, Tepoi, Sadir, Serian Division is approved by Sarawak government. Additional ceiling for the project under 12 Malaysia Plan is currently requested to kickstart the project. I wish to inform Ali Yang Berhormat for Ketibas. The proposed construction of Nanga Bajor, Nanga Mukut Road is 14% behind schedule. As the contractor is unable to perform diligently, the recorder has initiated the termination process. A re-tender exercise will be undertaken. To answer Yang Berhormat dari Opar, JKR will resubmit the sitting application for the construction of Jabatan Selampit to the Sarawak Government for approval for the upgrading of Jalan Kedai and Jalan Sedaing di Kampung Kenai. The proposal has been submitted to Federal Government under the third rolling plan. For the information of Ali Yang Berhormat from Pujut, who was to reiterate that there is a plan to connect Miri to Limbang and Lawas onward to Sabah bypassing our neighboring country, which highlighted earlier. In response to Ali Yang Berhormat dari report, the proposal to construct Jalan Nyelong bypass Persidangan Bulat has been put under 12th plan was not approved. JKR will resubmit this proposal. For the information of Ali Yang Berhormat Bukit Semuja, JKR has put the proposal to the federal government on the implementation of border security road under the 12th Malaysia plan. For the information of Ali Yang Berhormat for Macan, the proposed Jalan Kukup to Ulu Macan was approved under the 11th Malaysia plan. The project is still under design and expected to turn out at the end of the year. For the information of Ali Yang Berhormat from Batu Danau, the proposed upgrading of Jalan Simpang Segan SK Ulu Dubai was approved under the second ruling plan and currently under planning stage. For the information of Yang Berhormat for Tupong, JKR front-end engineering has been carried out for the proposed Matang Underpass to determine the site investigation, location of localities. This project is expected to commence by the end of this year. I wish to inform Yang Berhormat dari Batang Maro, project Jalan Penghubung Kampung Batang Maro is an approved project under program Jana Wabawa, expected to be implemented by the end of 2022. For information Yang Berhormat dari Kelili, the proposal to construct road connecting Rumah Setuga and Kelili to Suai, Basik, Tanjung Lakung Park is approved project under Sri Aman Development Agency, while the proposed to construct Jabatan Meriuk was approved by Kementerian Pembangunan Luar Bandar under the first rolling plan of the third Malaysia plan. Tuan Yang Dipertua, Convention Yang Berhormat Bukit Semuja JKR, Sarawak will study the installation of road safety according to the need and requirement of road safety audit for the following road: Gedong Junction to Kampung Kuala, Kampung Mohibah to Kampung Belimbing B, and Kakai Roundabout to Tebekang. The construction of overhead pedestrian bridge and bus stop along the Pen Borneo Highway from Serian to Semunjan is in progress. Construction is expected to be completed next year. Tan Sri Speaker, I wish to inform Yang Berhormat Pondaro the proposed upgrading of Jalan Bawangasan, Tanjung Manis, Sungai Kas, Tungai Ilas, Kampung Sebenar, Phase 2 is 1.6% actual, which is behind schedule from 6.8%. While the construction of Jalan Sungai Pasin Matu is delayed, our ministry together will spearheaded the best way to move forward to salvage the project. On the traffic congestion, we wish to inform Yang Berhormat for Setakan that the issue on traffic congestion on what you have mentioned along the Kuching Serian Expressway cannot be denied. For immediate measure, the policemen are supposed to be stationed to control the traffic flow during the peak hours. For your information, for Yang Berhormat Setakan information, there are 4 ongoing projects elevating traffic congestion in this area. One is the proposed upgrading of the 5 roundabout along Kuching Samarahan Expressway. 2, proposed second Kuching Samarahan Trang Road. 3, upgrading of Jalan Datuk Muhammad Musa from G3 roundabout to mile 8. And 4, construction of Jalan Akses ke kawasan selatan lapangan terbang antarabangsa Kuching Sarawak from Bukit Berangan to Tutong. For the information of Yang Berhormat, for report, currently the design and upgrading of the proposed Jalan Nyelong bypass, and upon completion of the design, the construction of the road will be submitted under the midterm review. Wish to inform Yang Berhormat Pemuluan, the proposed construction of Menangah Lasik Bridge is under detailed design, expected to commence at the end of this year. Convention of Yang Berhormat Langusan, JKR is studying strategic planning initiative for emergency response team at the respective divisional level. Tuan Speaker, my ministry recognized the importance of requests with regard to the construction upgrading of road in the respective constituency. We wish to acknowledge the issue raised by the following Yang Berhormat: Yang Berhormat dari Tamin, from Meluan, Kelili, Murum, Batu Danau, Telian, Ketibas, Kelakar, Bukit Asik, Kerian and Macan. I have directed JKR to study all the proposals, taking cognition of their benefit to the rakyat and to propose to federal and state government for consideration. I have also instructed all JKR divisional engineer to engage ahli-ahli yang berhormat in their respective division to include their requests under the divisional development plan. Our rakyat deserve to be provided with basic infrastructure, particularly in rural areas. Over the decade, our development agenda has been proven effective through its development bias budget and annual provision budget. GPS government under the leadership of our Premier will continue to effort to develop Sarawak to ensure no one is marginalized and deprived of basic infrastructure. Tan Sri Speaker, the rakyat have spoken loud and clear. Gabungan Parti Sarawak government was given a strong mandate by Sarawakian, winning 76 of 82 seats contested in the last election. The rakyat also has spoken. It is evident that the solid support, fully support the GPS government under the leadership of Yang Amat Premier Datuk Petinggi Tan Sri Abang Haji Johari Tun Abang Haji Openg. The strong support given reflect the confidence of rakyat to the immense rakyat-centric and development bias policy project implemented over the last few years. The rakyat acknowledged that GPS government vision is very clear. The rakyat is tired of the deception, lies by the opposition. The rakyat knows that and understands that GPS government has meticulously prepared policies and development plan to bring Sarawak to greater height and to be high-income region. Tan Sri Speaker, the future will indeed be very challenging, marred by global crisis, disruption of supply chain, inflation, continuous negative campaign by the opposition. These are all taking place while technology constantly evolves at an accelerating speed. Therefore, I call upon the rakyat to continue to stand united as we journey to the future. Unity is the basic prerequisite for the success of any country. Sarawak is no exception. To ensure we achieve our target, stability will be the ingredient of its success. It is important for rakyat to remain united, focus on the agenda at hand, safeguard the political stability of Sarawak, give GPS a solid and strong mandate in the coming parliamentary election. Do not be distracted and deceived by the opposition sinister and dirty tactic of spreading lies and twisting fact, creating confusion in the community, indulging in petty politicking. Fellow Sarawakian, let us strengthen our resilience, focus on bringing Sarawak to greater height toward prosperity. Fight for Sarawak right, stand for Sarawak to ensure that the PCDS 2030 will be implemented effectively for the future of Sarawak, for our children's future, and the future of their children. May we prosper and become a developed region in 2030. Jaga Sarawak into Sarawak. Last but not least, I wish to thank Your God Save Tan Sri for your indulgent and well-managed proceeding of this August House. I can see your wisdom today. I would also like to accord my appreciation to Ali and Muhammad for raising relevant issue, valuable comment, and suggestion that could be used as a guide to further improve our service delivery. I want to thank my ministry team, Badan Kerja Raya, port authorities, federal agencies, and our watching brief, to all Sarawak civil service and members of the media for their full cooperation and dedication throughout the session. To all Muslims, wishing you Selamat Hari Raya Idul Fitri. The month of Shawwal is not over yet. To the Buddhists, wishing you belated Wesak Day. And to the Dayak, Selamat Hari Gawai Dayak. Ayu Guru Gerai Nyamai ngajar kita semua bertuah pelimpah. And I got 3 pantun here. I got to follow my friend, my colleague. Endemik bermula 1 April. Janganlah kita alfa dan leka. Virus corona jangan diperkecil. Patuhi SOP peringatan bersama. 2-3 kucing berlari, manakah sama si kucing belang. Premier Sarawak sudah terbukti. Sarawak maju makin terbilang. Berkebuang baka langit, bertujuan kita baka bukit, nyegang baka pasang, nampuh ke rantau, jerung baka kampung, lulung pulau, gayu ke tuku, gerai ke sempanai, telantang, senang, ngagai semua. Terima kasih. Thank you.
Ahli yang berhormat, dengan segala hormatnya saya menjemput yang amat berhormat Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Dr. Abang Haji Abdul Rahman Zuhari bin Tun Datuk Abang Haji Openg, Premier Sarawak, Menteri Keuangan dan Ekonomi Baru, Menteri Sumber Asli dan Pembangunan Bandar, dan Menteri Tenaga dan Kelestarian Alam Sekitar untuk menyampaikan ucapan penggulungan.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Speaker. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan salam sejahtera. Terlebih dulu saya mengucap setinggi penghargaan dan terima kasih kepada Tuan yang terutama yang di-Pertua Negeri Sarawak di atas ucapan pembukaan Persidangan Kedua Penggal Pertama Dewan Undangan Negeri Sarawak yang ke-19. Saya turut menzahirkan rasa terima kasih dan penghargaan kepada semua ahli-ahli yang berhormat, termasuk pembangkang yang telah mengambil bahagian dalam perbahasan rang undang-undang yang akan mengukuhkan lagi kelestarian alam sekitar dan juga hak negeri Sarawak. Sambil itu akan mempelbagaikan pendapatan negeri Sarawak yang tercinta ini. Semua rakan ahli yang berhormat telah menunjukkan kematangan dalam penyampaian hujah masing-masing yang disokong dengan maklumat hasil rujukan yang penuh fakta. Seperti sebelum ini, dalam ucapan penggulungan saya kali ini, saya tidak akan menyentuh perkara-perkara spesifik kerana saya percaya timbalan-timbalan saya dan juga menteri telah pun menjelaskannya dalam ucapan penggulungan masing-masing. Sebaliknya, saya akan mengambil kesempatan ini untuk menerangkan hala tuju Sarawak ke arah mencapai status negeri maju berpendapatan tinggi menjelang tahun 2030. Tan Sri Speaker, Sarawak ekonomi. Economies around the world have experienced immense stress for the past 2 years. COVID-19 pandemic took the world by surprise and affected the healthcare system, livelihood of the people, and brought many economies into recession. We know Sarawak shared the same experience. Throughout this challenging journey, we have seen how economies shift away from usual way of doing things prior to COVID-19 and quickly made adjustment to new methods to unlock new growth prospects. We are grateful to see a brighter outlook with recovery in progress and businesses start to operate near to normal, with Sarawak transitioning to the endemic phase as we enter the year 2022. Nonetheless, we are mindful that while the pandemic-induced crisis subsidized, the geopolitical tension with Russia's invasion of Ukraine has led to greater uncertainty that carries a huge threat to the currently fragile global economic recovery process. Against all these challenging backdrops, Sarawak government is glad that we have formulated and is now implementing the Post-COVID-19 Development Strategy PCDS 2030. The plan is to address reforms of Sarawak economy as Sarawak moves towards a high-income and developed state by 2030. Under the PCDS 2030, our economy is targeted to grow at an average of between 6 to 8% per annum. I am confident we will be able to take this leap of faith in achieving the target and Sarawak aspiration through new economic model. Although to some, the target is high, I am certain with new growth areas and promising prospect, the average of 6 to 8% growth per annum is achievable. Mr. Speaker, we are aware that Sarawak's current economic model is easily influenced by the fluctuation of commodity prices, particularly the crude palm oil, and gas. Based on the past trend, our economy is concentrated on these primary commodities as our main source of revenue. Thus, to emerge as a stronger region, we must embark on a full-fledged transformation and capitalize on mega trends around the world. Our focus is on restructuring and diversifying our economy into high-value downstream industry. We need to be innovative, productive, and resilient in the global business environment that are dynamic and volatile. Therefore, with small domestic market, we need to scale up production and develop more export-oriented activities while ensuring clean and healthy environment through adoption of innovation and digitalization to spur productivity growth. This will broaden our economic supply chain. Sarawak economy will be more sustainable to shocks in spite of the many unprecedented crises that may arise in the future. It will also create more high-paying jobs and entrepreneurship opportunities, as well as generate more private sector investment. The spillover from all these new economic activities will translate to produce higher household income. This is important because we want to ensure our economic prosperity is equitably distributed and shared by all rakyat. Our top priority now is to build both physical and digital infrastructure to increase efficiency and link Sarawak to global market. This will become the platform for Sarawak's economy to grow in the coming years and create a thriving society that enjoys economic prosperity, social inclusivity, and sustainable environment. Mr. Speaker, hydrogen economy. I would like to quote the European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen in her speech on 8 March 2022. I quote, "The quicker we switch to renewables and hydrogen, combined with more energy efficiency, the quicker we will be truly independent and master our energy system." Unquote. Hydrogen is an essential component of a net zero energy system for deep decarbonization that is required to meet the current climate targets and limit the temperature increase below 2 degrees Celsius. The global hydrogen market is picking up speed. Recently, the Hydrogen Council estimated that approximately 520 projects are gaining momentum around the world. Clean hydrogen production capacity has increased more than double since January 2021. Globally, USD 160 billion of direct private investment have been created until 2030, and more than USD 400 billion additional private investment have been made to realize government targets and commitments. We must now actively shape Sarawak hydrogen market throughout the entire value chain. If not, we will be left behind. Sarawak shall create an ideal ecosystem for hydrogen economy to be pioneer in Asia Pacific, to explore, innovate, and produce green hydrogen. Therefore, we must spur investment in integrated hydrogen facilities and infrastructure. I believe this will bring down hydrogen production costs and will stimulate demand for hydrogen. Mr. Speaker, for the information of this August House, Sarawak Economic Development Corporation SEDC has partnered with Samsung Engineering, POSCO, and Lotte Chemical from South Korea to develop an environmentally friendly hydrogen and green ammonia plant in Bintulu. Once completed, the plant will produce 630,000 metric tons of green ammonia, 600,000 metric tons of blue ammonia, 220,000 metric tons of green hydrogen, of which 7,000 metric tons will be for domestic use, and the rest will be exported to South Korea. This new development will further diversify Sarawak exports besides the traditional oil and gas export. Mr. Speaker, sustainable aviation fuel. As a step forward, Sarawak is exploring the production of alternative aviation fuel such as Sustainable Aviation Fuel SAF. SAF could be the key to sustainable air travel in the transition for low carbon fuel in the industry. SCDC is collaborating with Airbus and Rolls-Royce through Aerospace Malaysia Innovative Centre, AMIC, and they are undertaking research and development on green hydrogen and fuel cell as future aviation fuel in the Mak, Kuching. Meanwhile, Sarawak Energy Berhad and Sarawak Biodiversity Centre are undertaking proof of concept POC on the utilization of algae, orang Sarawak kata lumut, as biofuels to complement our quest in the hydrogen economy. Tuan Sri Speaker, environmental sustainability. The world is focusing on policies and action to achieve the goals of Paris Agreement to reach global net zero emissions. In the Paris Agreement, particularly on Article 6, the high-level principles were intended as a basis for countries to develop detailed rules for how countries can pursue voluntary cooperation to reach their climate targets. At Conference of Parties COP26 in Glasgow in 2021, countries agreed on a package of rules to govern and implement international carbon market mechanism under the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change, UNFCCC. At the same conference, nearly 200 countries agreed to increase their national pledges this year to align with the target of capping global warming at 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels. Carbon market is another solution to reduce carbon emission. A well-designed and well-connected market, particularly the carbon market, can prove that Sarawak can grow her economy and protect the environment at the same time. I am determined to establish such market that support cooperation with consistent and robust rules underpinned by environmental integrity in line with sustainable development objectives for Sarawak. A price on carbon promotes investment in cost-effective emission reduction today, while allowing innovation in low-carbon technologies for the future. Energy efficiency earns its full return, and forest protection has clear economic value. Tuan Sri Speaker, carbon market is gaining momentum around the world. It plays a key role as one of the most effective measures available to reduce climate pollution at the scale and pace of science demands. Rest assured, Sarawak will be embarking on all necessary best practices benchmarked against internationally acceptable practice, including the verification of carbon credit trading from internationally acknowledged verification entities. I envision that our new economy towards carbon market will provide an ambitious signal to future generations and building deep transformative change we urgently need. Tuan Sri Speaker, I am convinced our effort to deploy carbon capture, utilization and storage (CCUS) in Sarawak is timely with the passing of the Land Code Amendment Bill 2022. We are in a much better position with some of the important policy tools in place. I know we have all the tools to do so. Our models consistently show that CCUS are very powerful mitigation technology and that without them, our transition to low carbon will be very difficult. I envision that the creation of ideal ecosystem for CO2 storage hub to emerge and linking them with industrial hubs and the international carbon market. Mr. Speaker, I believe with the newly established Ministry of Energy and Environmental Sustainability, we will intensively embark on this initiative, collaborating with expertise internationally as well as recruiting our own Sarawakian talents, both locally and abroad. Hence, we all need to be well-versed and updated with climate change agenda, mitigation and adaptation measures as well as understanding the concept of carbon market mechanism. Mr. Speaker, oil and gas development. Sarawak government has successfully signed the Commercial Settlement Agreement CSA with Petronas on 7 December 2020, which provided Petros the role to regulate and monitor oil, mining and exploration in all the onshore areas of Sarawak. For the information of this August House, among the achievements that Petros has made are to secure 1. A 29-year contract for Sarawak onshore block SK433 Adong Kecil in Miri Marudi area. 2. Carried interest in all 4 new exploration blocks offshore Sarawak in the Malaysia bid round 2021 in bracket MBR 2021, namely SK427, SK439, SK440 and SK437. And 3. 1,200 million scarf day natural gas resources volumes to drive the growth of the downstream industries, power generation and petrochemical hub in Bintulu, as well as supporting downstream industries across Sarawak in the long term. We have achieved greater share of revenues from oil and gas produced in Sarawak through state sales tax SST. As mentioned by the Second Minister for Finance and New Economy in his winding up speech, the SST collected from crude oil and liquefied natural gas since 1st January 2019 has become the major contributor to our revenue, amounting to 8.52 billion to date from the 11.01 billion of the overall SST collected thus far. We are able to control the distribution of gas, including LPG, under the Distribution of Gas Ordinance. For information of this August House, LPG is a control item and the price of LNG is fixed for the whole Malaysia under the Control of Supplies Act 1961. Household price of LPG is already subsidized up to 50% by the federal government. The current control price for 14 kg LPG filled cylinder is at 26 ringgit 60 cent. GPS government will continue to protect the interests of gas consumers through Ministry of Utilities and Telecommunication to ensure security of supply and equitable price throughout Sarawak. Mr. Speaker, rising cost of living. Sarawak government takes note of the rising prices of food and thereafter affecting the cost of living. All these are due to the current geopolitical tension that leads to imported inflation and the ringgit performance against greenback or USD that had declined 0.7% in the first quarter of 2022. Malaysia's weakening currency will increase import prices, burdening both consumers and importers. As Malaysia is a net importer of food, the imported inflation has caused higher food price domestically. Therefore, most of this is beyond Sarawak government's control. For this reason, Sarawak government will intervene within our power and means to cushion the impact of rising costs of living, especially on food prices, onto the rakyat. For this, I will introduce discount on electricity tariff to our food producers and retailers, including coffee shops, restaurants, and other food and beverages industry, in order to reduce their costs of doing business. Therefore, I expect it will mitigate or normalize market price of food. Against this backdrop, the Sarawak government is determined to transform our agriculture sector to become net food exporter under PCDS 2030, which eventually provide farm-to-table food security and self-sufficiency level SSL for Sarawak. For this, it is already part of the GPS government in our manifesto. Mr. Speaker, regional development. With Indonesia confirmed plan to relocate their capital city to Nusantara in East Kalimantan, Sarawak stands to gain benefits from the rapid development as we share long borderline and has established bilateral cooperation with Indonesia. Nonetheless, Sarawak needs to position herself and develop our competitive advantages. Cross-border accessibility will be improved through the opening of more border exit and entry points, road access, and integrated CIQS facilities. There are plans to upgrade strategic exit and entry points in the northern and central regions of Sarawak into international gateways to facilitate better movement of people and enhance our border trade. Nevertheless, border security must be our utmost priority. Therefore, we are working closely with the federal government to strengthen our border control. Reviving cross-border trade with Indonesia, particularly with West Kalimantan, will be our main priority. We need to develop our resources in complementing with Indonesia on a win-win situation. Sarawak will strengthen our position as the powerhouse of ASEAN and contribute to the ASEAN Power Grid Initiative. We will continue to supply our surplus electricity regionally, but not at the expense of our own power needs. Given our track records in hydropower development, Sarawak will strengthen her profile within the ASEAN through active involvement in North Kalimantan hydroelectric project. To facilitate our initiative and collaboration with Indonesia, Sarawak government is currently moving forward with our plan to establish Trade and Tourism Office in Pontianak. Sarawak will also strengthen economic collaboration with Brunei Darussalam. We have been working closely with Brunei in several economic sectors, including telecommunication, energy, trade, tourism, and agriculture. With the establishment of Sarawak Trade and Tourism Office in Bandar Seri Begawan soon, we should be able to move forward in a more efficient manner to capture the economic opportunities and take advantage of the Brunei strategic connectivity and accessibility to other parts of the world. Tuan Sri Speaker, pendidikan sekolah antarabangsa. Kerajaan Sarawak menekankan pendidikan berkualiti dan menyediakan ekosistem yang menyeluruh untuk pembangunan modal insan, terutamanya golongan anak-anak kita yang selama ini telah ketinggalan dalam arus pembangunan kemudahan pendidikan negara. Memandangkan kawasan geografi Sarawak yang luas dan penempatan yang bertaburan, ianya menjadi antara cabaran kepada kerajaan untuk membangunkan kemudahan persekolahan yang sempurna. Walau bagaimanapun, Kerajaan Sarawak sentiasa bekerjasama dengan Kerajaan Persekutuan untuk menyediakan persekitaran pembelajaran dan pengajaran yang selamat dan kondusif. Dalam pada itu, Kerajaan GPS telah mengambil langkah proaktif dengan menubuhkan 5 buah sekolah antarabangsa yang dibiayai oleh Kerajaan Sarawak demi pendidikan berkualiti kepada rakyat Sarawak, yang mana sekolah antarabangsa yang pertama telah mula beroperasi pada Mac tahun ini. Pelaburan ini sangat penting kerana kita mahu memberi ruang dan peluang yang sama kepada anak-anak Sarawak yang pintar, terutamanya dari kawasan luar bandar. Sebenarnya yang kita sudah ketahui, sekolah antarabangsa ini akan menggunakan kurikulum Cambridge International General Certificate of Secondary Education IGCSE untuk membantu mengembangkan kemahiran anak-anak kita dalam pemikiran kreatif dan penyelesaian masalah. Anak-anak inilah yang akan menjadi pemimpin dan pemikir insya-Allah pada masa depan. Tuan Sri Speaker, Sovereign Investment Fund. Through the various transformational program and revenue re-engineering initiative, Sarawak has promising future to set up our own sovereign investment funds. By establishing the Sovereign Investment Fund, we will build up our financial reserve for the young Sarawakians. Sarawak will be able to strengthen our future financial capacity to compensate the potential loss of future revenue from our depleting oil and gas resources. However, the idea of our sovereign fund is still work in progress, where more studies need to be carried out to ensure the best model and robust international standard be adopted. I would like to emphasize that the key principle for our very own sovereign fund moving forward must be of good governance with well-defined regulatory framework and greater transparency and accountability. If things work out, maybe we will present to this House in November. Tan Sri Speaker, Malaysia Agreement 1963. Negotiation on the Malaysia Agreement MA63 is always close to our heart in the GPS government. We have been actively negotiating with the federal government to restore Sarawak right as stipulated in the MA63. As of today, we have witnessed significant progress where we have several accomplishments, particularly on the amendment to Article 1(2) of the Federal Constitution, which has restored the status of Sarawak and Sabah as before the amendment to the Federal Constitution in 1976. Despite the accomplishment, we should not rest on our laurels. We must continue to fight to preserve our interests and rights from Putrajaya to develop our beloved Sarawak to be on par with the rest of Malaysia in terms of development. Tan Sri Speaker, akhir kata kita rakyat Sarawak perlulah mengekalkan perpaduan yang erat untuk sama-sama membangun Sarawak ke arah Sarawak berpendapatan tinggi menjelang tahun 2030. Hanya dengan kerajaan yang kukuh, melatar belakangkan kestabilan politik, didokong oleh keyakinan rakyat, maka kemakmuran akan dapat kita kecapi bersama. Tan Sri Speaker, perpaduan adalah amat penting. Tanpa perpaduan, maka kita tidak akan menikmati keamanan. Dan jika tiada keamanan, maka tiadalah pembangunan dan kemakmuran. Dengan ini saya mengambil kesempatan untuk mengucapkan terima kasih kepada Tan Sri Speaker yang telah mengendalikan persidangan DUN dengan teratur dan cemerlang. Tidak kelewatan juga saya mengambil kesempatan ini untuk mengucapkan selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, selamat Hari Wesak dan selamat Hari Gawai yang akan disambut tidak lama lagi kepada semua lapisan rakyat Sarawak yang meraihkan perayaan-perayaan ini. Dengan itu sekali lagi saya mengucap banyak-banyak terima kasih atas sokongan kepada rang undang-undang yang telah diluluskan pada kali ini. Sekian, terima kasih.
Ahli yang berhormat, I shall now call upon the Honourable Member for Daro to wind up the motion in appreciation to Tuan Yang Utama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri's address. Member for Daro.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Salam sejahtera dan salam sahabat sayang. Terima kasih Tan Sri Datuk Ahmad Speaker Baru hari Khamis ya tek saya berucap. Hari tu dah hari Khamis lagi dah sip berasa. Terima kasih Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker kerana telah memberi peluang kepada saya untuk menggulung perbahasan usul penghargaan data ucapan Tuan Yang Terutama Yang Ketua di Sarawak pada petang yang mulia ini. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, alhamdulillah persidangan kali ini telah berjalan dengan lancar dan jayanya serta mempamerkan politik yang matang. Ini membuktikan di bawah kerajaan GPS sentiasa mementingkan keharmonian dan meletakkan kepentingan rakyat sebagai niat murni kerajaan. Ini juga menunjukkan bahawa kerajaan GPS merupakan kerajaan yang stabil dan fokus utamanya memperjuangkan hak Sarawak, seperti mana yang termaktub dalam Malaysia Agreement MACC 3, tanpa mengedepikan kesejahteraan rakyat serta mengekalkan toleransi dan keamanan rakyat Sarawak yang terkena dengan diversitinya yang berbilang kaum dan agama. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, di kesempatan ini saya ingin mengucapkan setinggi tahniah dan terima kasih yang tidak terhingga kepada Suruhanjaya Pilihan Raya Sarawak di atas usaha yang telah mereka curahkan semasa Pilihan Raya Negeri Sarawak yang ke-12 yang lepas, menjadikan PRN ke-12 Sarawak sebagai contoh ataupun benchmark kepada negeri-negeri lain kerana berjaya mengadakan Pilihan Raya tanpa sebarang peningkatan kes COVID-19 yang mendadak. Pilihan Raya Pilihan Raya mendadak seperti mana yang berlaku di PRN Sabah dan Melaka. PRN yang lepas merupakan PRN yang sangat mencabar kerana ianya dilaksanakan dengan peraturan dan SOP yang lebih ketat dan teliti demi kebaikan semua pihak. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, saya turut ingin mengucapkan sekalung tahniah dan terima kasih kepada Jawatankuasa Pengurusan Bencana Negeri Sarawak ataupun SDMC yang dipengerusikan oleh Timbalan Primer Sarawak, Yang Berhormat Datuk Amar Douglas Ugah Embas, Merangkap Menteri Kewangan dan Ekonomi Baharu II dan Menteri Infrastruktur dan Pembangunan Pelabuhan di atas usaha yang berterusan, lebih-lebih lagi dalam mengurus penurunan wabak COVID-19 ini. Berkat usaha dan inisiatif yang telah dilaksanakan, Sarawak merupakan negeri yang berjaya dalam mengawal penularan COVID-19 dan sehingga menjadi negeri yang mempunyai kadar vaksinasi terbaik di Malaysia. Selain itu juga berkat usaha yang tidak kenal penat lelah, negara kita telah berada di peralihan fasa endemik dan kita sudah mula menikmati kehidupan seharian seperti sedia kala. Walaupun rakyat masih diingatkan supaya perlu terus berjaga-jaga kerana kita belum lagi bebas sepenuhnya daripada wabak COVID-19. Tidak lupa juga semua petugas Persatuan Harapan yang telah bertukus lumus menabur bakti sepanjang tempoh pelaksanaan PKP sehinggalah sekarang. Lebih lagi ketika PRN ke-12 yang lepas dan tanpa komitmen dan kerja jasa baik kalian semua, sudah pasti kejayaan mengawal peningkatan kes COVID-19 tidak akan berjaya. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, persidangan Dewan Negeri ini merupakan sesuatu yang menjadi perhatian dan tumpuan rakyat serta yang ditunggu-tunggu oleh rakyat semua, terutamanya ahli-ahli yang berhormat. Persidangan berlangsung selama 8 hari ini sebenarnya bukan hanya melibatkan 82 orang sahaja, tetapi ia melibatkan seluruh 2.82 juta rakyat Sarawak dari Teluk Menano sehinggalah ke Lawas. Kerana ahli-ahli yang berhormat yang berdiri dalam Dewan yang mulia ini mewakili rakyat di kawasan masing-masing di seluruh Sarawak. Persidangan dan perhimpunan ini merupakan platform terbaik untuk kita mengutarakan dan membincang isu-isu rakyat dan membahaskan usul-usul serta rang undang-undang yang berkaitan dengan rakyat yang kita wakili. Kerajaan GPS sentiasa bertindak secara proaktif dan berpandangan jauh demi pembangunan dan menjaga kebajikan rakyat. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, saya merakamkan ucapan tahniah dan syabas kepada semua rakan-rakan ahli yang berhormat, terutamanya yang telah menyampaikan ucapan atau perbahasan sulung ataupun maiden speech mereka. Semuanya nang boleh tahan. Si ugi rakyat milih. InsyaAllah Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, kami sebagai wakil rakyat daripada GPS akan terus bekerja keras melaksanakan amanah rakyat ini kerana kami mempunyai role model yang terbaik di kalangan kepimpinan tertinggi GPS, terutamanya The Right Honourable Yang Berhormat Premier Sarawak, a leader that encourages action and leads by example, and an inspiring leader with far-sighted vision. Saya yakin jika kita semua selaku wakil rakyat terus bekerja keras dan mengekalkan momentum ini, tidak mustahil PRU yang ke-15 nanti GPS menang ke semua 31 kursi parlimen di Sarawak ini. Rakyat Sarawak bijak dan tahu perbezaan besar di antara wakil rakyat GPS dengan pihak pembangkang. Ialah wakil rakyat GPS adalah fokus dan sentiasa bekerja keras membawa pembangunan dan menjaga kebajikan rakyat berbanding dengan wakil rakyat pembangkang, terutamanya parti pembangkang dari Melaya yang hanya pandai bercakap dan tengok saja. Tahsia Tuan Speaker, politik pembangkang. Sememangnya kita akui sebagai sebuah negara yang mengamalkan demokrasi, peranan pembangkang juga penting. Namun ada segelintir daripada kalangan pembangkang dan Dewan Yang Mulia ini hanya tahu mengkritik dan berfikiran secara negatif serta berniat dan menghasut rakyat sahaja. Mereka ini bersikap seperti mata lalat yang hanya boleh melihat yang buruk sahaja. Mereka ini, apa yang saya nasihatkan kepada mereka ini, jadilah seperti mata lebah, supaya sentiasa mencari kebaikan. Ketika menjadi pembangkang bukan main hebat bercakap sampai ke langit. Bila diberi peluang menjadi kerajaan, termasuk menjadi menteri dan timbalan menteri selama 22 bulan, habuk pun tak ada. Munyi ke iban, ada utai. Kalau dalam bahasa Melanau kami cakap, mube kenaan papa-papa. Kong pun boyong, bukan kong kali kong, kong pun boyong. Bila sudah hilang kuasa, lain pula nada dan tona mereka. Seolah-olah mereka lah juara dan pelindung rakyat. Kepekaran mereka memperdayakan dan menghasut rakyat memang tidak dinafikan. Sendiri yang berjanji mengatakan akan memberi 20% royalti minyak dan mengembalikan 50% cukai, hasil cukai yang dikutip negeri ini kepada Sarawak. Kalau berkata harapan mengambil alih pentadbiran negara, sendiri juga yang menafikannya. Memang salah, dia ini cuma ting kosong saja. Begitu juga setelah menuduh rakyat akan berengkap dalam tempoh 3 tahun, tetapi apa yang berlaku sebaliknya, Sarawak di bawah kepimpinan Yang Berhormat Premier semakin membangun dan banyak projek serta pelbagai program kesejahteraan rakyat juga telah dilaksanakan. Apabila mengetahui tuduhan mereka tidak benar, maka mulalah mereka twist sana, twist sini, pusing sana, pusing sini dengan pelbagai alasan untuk menegakkan benang yang basah. Tahsia Tuan Speaker, biarlah rakyat menilai siapa mereka sebenarnya. Rakyat dah muak dengan perangai mereka. Ini dibuktikan dengan keputusan PETANG ke-12 baru-baru ini. Tempat duduk saya di Dewan ini sekarang ini pun dulunya adalah wakil rakyat daripada pembangkang, tetapi telah berjaya kita tawan, dan insya-Allah pada PETANG ke-13 nanti GPS akan ambil alih semua tempat duduk mereka di Dewan ini. Tahsia Tuan Speaker, mewakili ahli-ahli berhormat di dalam Dewan Yang Mulia ini, saya ingin merakamkan ucapan terima kasih dan setinggi penghargaan kepada semua kementerian, jabatan dan agensi di atas jawapan-jawapan kepada soalan-soalan lisan yang telah diberi lebih lagi kepada Yang Berhormat Menteri-Menteri di atas respon ke atas isu-isu yang telah dibangkitkan oleh ahli-ahli Yang Berhormat ketika perbahasan di dalam ucapan pergulungan mereka. Sesungguhnya, sebagai ahli yang berhormat yang mewakili rakyat di kuasa masing-masing, perlu mengetahui perkembangan terkini, lebih-lebih lagi tentang dasar-dasar kerajaan melalui kementerian-kementerian yang sedia ada, agar membolehkan perkara ini dikongsikan bersama dengan rakyat di kawasan masing-masing. Pendek katanya, ketek aja dapat menjawab semua soalan dan isu yang dibangkitkan oleh rakyat. Sebab itulah ada di kalangan ahli-ahli yang berhormat bertanya membangkitkan isu yang sama kerana hendak mengetahui dan memantau perkembangan terkini tentang perkara tersebut. Apa yang diperhatikan masih adalah jawapan dan maklum balas yang diberikan adalah sentiasa sama. Walaupun tahun dah bertukar, penggal DUN pun dah baru dan menterinya pun dah bertukar juga, tapi jawapan dia masih sama. Tahniah Tuan Speaker, Perkhidmatan Awam Negeri, saya yakin sebagai sebuah perkhidmatan awam negeri yang mempunyai visi bertaraf dunia, sudah pasti pelaksanaan penambahbaikan secara berterusan menjadi budaya utama. Oleh itu, saya berharap perkhidmatan awam selaku pelaksana polisi dan tonggak pentadbiran Sarawak sentiasa memperbaiki mutu perkhidmatan secara konsisten dan berterusan. Tabiat dan budaya kerja suka menggunakan remote control perlulah dihapuskan. Selaku ketua jabatan haruslah hands on dan turun padang meninjau sendiri keadaan yang sebenarnya agar tidak terpedaya oleh laporan-laporan yang baik-baik sahaja. Sedangkan apa yang berlaku di lapangan sebenarnya adalah di sebaliknya. Kami sebagai wakil rakyat yang sering turun ke kawasan sudah pastilah paling dekat dengan rakyat dan mengetahui apa yang berlaku di kawasan masing-masing. Berhubung dengan isu prestasi pelaksanaan projek terutamanya projek rakyat yang berhormat premier yang telah banyak dibangkitkan oleh ahli-ahli yang berhormat di dalam persidangan ini, saya ingin mencadangkan agar State Development Coordination Committee meeting ataupun SDCCM on projek rakyat yang dipengusikan sendiri oleh Yang Premier Sarawak sebelum ini diaktifkan semula agar projek dapat dipantau dengan lebih berkesan lagi. Tahniah Tuan Speaker, kita di Sarawak berasa amat bertuah, mempunyai sebuah kerajaan yang cukup prihatin dan mengutamakan kebajikan rakyat. Ketika dunia dan negara kita dilanda pandemik COVID-19, memang ramai rakyat terkesan disebabkan pelaksanaan PKP. Dalam hal ini, kerajaan Sarawak tidak bergantung semata-mata dengan bantuan daripada kerajaan persekutuan sahaja, malah melaksanakan pelbagai jenis bantuan di bawah bantuan Sarawak Ku Sayang ataupun BKSS daripada BKS 1.0 sehinggalah kepada BKSS 8.0 yang bernilai ringgit Malaysia 5.7 bilion bermula daripada bulan April tahun 2020 lagi. Bantuan yang berpaksikan kepada kebajikan rakyat ini adalah bersifat inklusif, merangkumi pelbagai lapisan masyarakat, termasuk sumbangan bakul makanan bagi memastikan rakyat mempunyai makanan di atas meja mereka. Boleh dikatakan bantuan Sarawak Ku Sayang yang kerajaan Sarawak laksanakan ini tidak terdapat di negeri lain di Malaysia. Selain daripada itu, Sarawak juga barangkali merupakan satu-satunya negeri yang mempunyai inisiatif membantu rakyatnya sejak dari lahir lagi melalui Endowment Fund dan bantuan ibu bersalin sehinggalah meninggal dunia sekalipun turut dibantu melalui bantuan ehsan kematian di bawah kenyalang Golkar. Sudah pastinya usaha-usaha ini kurang disenangi oleh pihak pembangkang dengan sengaja memperkecilkan usaha murni kerajaan Sarawak ini kerana mereka tahu bahawa mereka tidak mampu melaksanakannya. Tahniah Tuan Speaker, Persidangan Dewan Negeri merupakan aturan urusan yang amat penting sebagai satu badan perundangan bagi ahli-ahli yang berhormat yang mewakili rakyat di kawasan masing-masing. Selain daripada membahas rang undang-undang, ia juga dimanfaatkan untuk mengemukakan isu-isu yang berkaitan dengan rakyat. Bilangan ahli-ahli berhormat telah bertambah sejak pilihan raya negeri tahun 2016. Ekoran daripada persebadan semula kawasan pilihan raya Sarawak pada tahun 2015. Oleh itu adalah disyorkan agar tempoh persidangan Dewan Undangan Negeri boleh ditambah bagi membolehkan lebih masa bagi ahli-ahli berhormat berbahas serta mengemukakan pertanyaan-pertanyaan bagi jawapan-jawapan lisan. Tempoh persidangan 8 hari sekarang ini agak terhad. Ada di kalangan kami agak kecewalah bila pertanyaan-pertanyaan lisan tidak sempat dijawab sehingga ada trend beralih kepada jawapan bertulis berbanding dengan jawapan-jawapan lisan. Ini boleh menjadikan persidangan Dewan Negeri kurang menarik sebab tiada lagi kedengaran pantun-pantun daripada ahli-ahli yang berhormat ketika mengemukakan soalan, meskipun ada setengah pantun agak menyakitkan telinga mendengar sehingga tin tiger di bawah pokok pun dijadikan pembayang. Seperkara lagi, tahniah Tuan Speaker, ini cuma sekadar memaklumkanlah bahawa kadar sitting ataupun meeting allowance ahli-ahli yang berhormat yang ada pada hari ini RM RM50 sehari merupakan allowance yang sama sejak tahun 1980, 42 tahun yang lalu. Ini tahu tahniah Tuan Speaker barangkali terlepas pandang ataupun overlook ke atas perkara ini. Faham-faham ajaklah. Nilai ringgit Malaysia RM50 pada tahun 1980 mungkin sama dengan IMF RM300 pada masa kini. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, sebagai penutup, terima kasih kepada Yang Berhormat Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker serta seluruh kaki tangan Dewan Undangan Negeri, juru-juru teringkas yang telah bekerja keras dan betul lumus memastikan persidangan kita kali ini dapat dilaksanakan dengan lancar dan jayanya. Turut tidak lupakan rakan-rakan media yang bertanggungjawab membuat liputan dan memastikan apa yang kita bincangkan di Dewan yang mulia ini disampaikan terus kepada rakyat di bumi Sarawak ini. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, sebelum mengakhiri ucapan saya, izinkan saya menggulung persidangan kali ini dengan 4 buah pantun seperti berikut. Siap bekalan pergi berburu, sampan berikat di pohon mengkudu. Tahniah semua adung yang baru, hujah ucapan padat dan padu. Batang keladi dililit selasih, sasih nan tumbuh di hujung pangkalan. Sanjung budi dan terima kasih kepada kementerian yang telah menjawab soalan. Burung kenyalang terbang di awan, hingga bersarang di pokok senang. Sabas diucapkan kepada seluruh petugas Dewan, tidak dilupai speaker yang bijaksana. GPS bersuara agenda rakyat, bumi kenyalang masyhur terbilang. Pihak pembangkang hilang kalibat, umpama paruh rapuh terbuang. Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, saya juga ingin mengambil kesempatan di sini untuk mengucapkan selamat Hari Gawai, Kayu Guru Kerana Nyamai, Lantang Senang, Menua kepada semua rakan-rakan berhormat dan seluruh rakyat Sarawak daripada kaum Dayak yang merayakan Hari Gawai Dayak. Dengan ini, Dato' Ahmad Speaker, with that I beg to move that the question be now put in respect of the motion standing in my name. Sekian, Sarawak first, Sarawak ku sayang. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh dan terima kasih.
I call upon honourable member for Batu Kitang to second the motion.
Honourable Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker, I beg to second. Thank you.
Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, the question is that the motion in the name of the honourable member for Daro in appreciation of Tuan Yang Terutama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri's address is approved. As many as the opinion say yes, as many as opinion, contrary opinion say no, the yes have it, the motion is approved.
Usul penangguhan. Yang Berhormat Timbalan Menteri Industri Kreatif dan Seni Persembahan dan Ahli Dewan Undangan Negeri N30 Balai Ringin.
Terima kasih Tan Sri Dato' Ahmad Speaker. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity. Good afternoon and salam sejahtera. I rise to move a motion of adjournment for the second meeting of the first session of 19 Dewan Undangan Negeri, which took place from the 17th to 26th May 2022. Tan Sri Speaker, I wish to begin by registering my utmost gratitude and congratulations to Tuan Yang Terutama Yang di-Pertuan Negeri Sarawak for the invaluable advices given in His Excellency address during the opening of the second meeting of the 19th State Legislative Assembly in this August House on 17th of May 2022. Dalam ucapannya, Tuan Yang Terutama antara lain telah menekankan betapa penting dan perlunya keselamatan awam dan sempadan dipertingkatkan untuk memastikan kedaulatan negara dan negeri kita Sarawak yang diperkukuhkan.
Saya percaya Kerajaan Negeri Sarawak dari dahulu lagi telah mengambil berat akan isu ini dan akan terus bekerjasama dengan Kerajaan Persekutuan untuk mengukuhkan keselamatan di sempadan kita dengan negara jiran. Beberapa perkara lain yang disentuh khusus oleh Tuan Yang Utama dalam ucapannya juga akan menjadi tanggungjawab atau amanah kepada kita semua sebagai kerajaan yang memerintah. Tuan Sri Speaker, salute to all honourable members of this august House for their commitment and active participation debating in His Excellency's address. I believe these critics, comments and input are voices of the people. Our YB have spoken and made known their respective constituency, predicament and needs. Congratulations to them for having won their seat respectively. What they have said in this Dewan are being noted by the President of all the ministry, directors or representatives who will then deliberate further on action and approaches to be taken to address the issue. As YBs, we may differ in viewpoints and opinion, but we have our common interest, that is to serve the Rakyat. The winding up have been delivered by the minister representing their respective ministries and also from our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier, and they are crystal clear. Hopefully there is no further manipulation outside their letter. The general decorum was good, rational and mature. This allowed the few bills such as the Land Court Amendment Bill 2022, the Forest Amendment Bill 2022 that was tabled being passed. Let's keep it this way. Tuan Sri Speaker, it is only fair and right for me to commend and applaud our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier for his exemplary leadership, stewarding our beloved state steadily and harmoniously as we witness today in the August House. If by any means the result of our last state election, PRN Ke-12, is a benchmark for victory, then the 76 seats won by JPS is an excellent pass in our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier's KPIs record book. I remember vividly during our school days, we used to bring back our exam book, record book given by the teachers for our parents to scrutinize. Any subject that we failed at and below 50% was marked in red ink. Subject that we passed were marked in blue ink. But for GPS to have a score 93% in an election subject is excellent. So to say, GPS was written not only with a landslide victory but also an improvement from the previous state election when we have got 72 seats. This stronger showing is an endorsement of the leadership of our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier, who is widely known as Abang Jo dengan izin. That is why in his opening speech, our Tuan Yang Terutama was very impressed with the leadership of our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier. And with the current 18 GPS MP seat in the 222 members of Dewan Rakyat, GPS is now something of a national kingmaker in the federal. However, we choose to be more responsible despite having the opportunities to flex muscle. In fact, this has underscored our task toward a higher level of autonomy along with our pursuit of MS63 agenda. Now, Sarawak cannot be taken for granted. There is a report by Malaysia expert Lee Poh On, a senior fellow at the Institute of South Asian Studies, or ISEAS, Yusof Ishak Institute, which says, in Sarawak's context, our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier Abang Jo is always ahead of his time compared with his peers. And now, having anticipated his success, our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier is leading us to fulfill the mandate given by the Rakyat during the last state election PRN Ke-12. Tuan Sri Speaker, yes, we have won. In Iban, we used to say, dia tu kita tak manjung, laban udah datai bak palak wong. Literally it means, we can now shout because we emerged victorious and had reached the peak of zenith. Thus far, I have not heard of any country in the Commonwealth that practices similar Westminster system like ours having scored a 93% win in this 21st century era of GPS did. Even if someone proved me wrong, it is still an excellent achievement that deserves a prize. A prize had been given in the form of a nomenclature premiership, a status rightfully bestowed to our present Yang Amat Berhormat Premier who led us to a resounding victory. We in GPS will continue to lend support to our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier because we trust and believe in his leadership. We salute you, sir. Tuan Sri Speaker, prior to state election PRN ke-12, ada banyak suara yang sumbang kedengaran daripada pihak pembangkang, memutar belit, instigate pemikiran rakyat yang kononnya, I repeat, kononnya mereka boleh mendirikan kerajaan baharu menggantikan GPS. Akan tetapi dengan memenangi 76 daripada 82 kerusi di Dun Sarawak, terbuktilah, it's proven that their lies and false propaganda hurts them more. Dunia kinetok, dunia digital dan IT, ketik kita aja, si bahasa apa? Kita dapat 76 kursi. Ketik sekali lagi, dapat habis 6 kursi ya balik, it will belong to us. As we can see now, there is only a handful of 6 of them surviving at the opposition bench. Truth prevail, right? As a saying goes, truth hurt, but a lie hurts forever. Therefore, do refrain from telling lies. Tuan Sri Speaker, JPS now is on a mission possible to further develop our state. Our director is none other than our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier. He has designed the architecture and the framework of our state development towards 2030. Our journey to accomplish our manifesto has begun. I urge all members of this August House, including our opposite side of the political bloc, to stand by us in pursuing this agenda. Don't oppose just for the sake of opposing. Learn how to give credit when it's due. Tuan Sri Speaker, I'm confident that physically the development landscape in the state will change tangibly. At the rate of, and by virtue of the ongoing project which are planned, combined with those in progress, we will see tangible development in the next couple of years. Our Petros, red-colored petrol kiosk, for example, which was once ridiculed by certain irresponsible group, has now become a reality. I believe many more will be built. Tuan Sri Speaker, the recent visit by our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier as a keynote address speaker in the World Hydrogen Summit and Exhibition 2022 in Rotterdam, Netherlands, has further opened the eyes of the world. Looking at the state, we are expecting new income, employment opportunities, and technology transfer resultant from this foreign direct investment once it is materialized. Our Yang Amat Berhormat Premier was also in a talk with the Norwegian institution on forming our own sovereign wealth fund. We can learn from the pioneer. Tuan Sri Speaker, before I end, I would like to congratulate Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim for being elected as senator to represent Sarawak, replacing Dr. Zaidi Suhaili, whose term will be expired next July. Dr. Zaidi has represented and served the state well in the Senate. I believe Dr. Ahmad Ibrahim will contribute well as well too. Tuan Sri Speaker, I wish to call on all members of this August House and all Sarawakian out there to remain and stay united, preserve our uniqueness, that is unity in diversity. I also wish to thank the State and Federal Secretary and the staff for their continued support in ensuring good governance and the timely service delivery to the people in Sarawak. Special thanks and gratitude to all our frontliners who work earnestly safeguarding us even during the peak of the deadly, threatening COVID-19 pandemic. We salute you all. Last but not least, I would like to thank and congratulate your good self, Tuan Sri Speaker, and your office team for the excellent job done in ensuring the smooth running of the Dun proceeding for the last 8 days. Lastly, I believe it is not too late for me to wish my Muslim friend who are still celebrating Hari Raya, Selamat Hari Raya Aidilfitri, Maaf Zahir Batin. Gawai Dayak is actually just around the corner, and I heard that this year Gawai will be a little bit more grandeur. partly because it's due to good commodity price, especially from oil palm fruit, and also we did not really celebrate it for the last 2 years. So, to all my Dayak friends and community as a whole, I wish Selamat Hari Gawai Dayak 2022, Gayu Guru, Gerai Nyamai, Celap Lindap, Lantang Senang, Muan Menua. And on this note, Tuan Speaker, Dato' Amar Speaker, I beg to move.
Alhamdulillah, persidangan yang berlangsung selama 8 hari telah berjalan dengan lancar dan teratur. Terima kasih diucapkan kepada ahli-ahli yang berhormat atas kerjasama menjaga ketinggian dan kemuliaan Dewan yang mulia ini. Ahli-ahli yang berhormat telah menunjukkan semangat yang jitu untuk memberi khidmat yang terbaik kepada rakyat dan negeri. Kejayaan urusan persidangan ini adalah hasil sokongan, kerjasama dan komitmen semua pihak yang terlibat secara langsung dan tidak langsung dalam menjalankan mesyuarat ini. Semoga kerjasama dan sokongan berterusan terjalin kukuh. Bagi Dewan yang mulia ini, saya ingin mengucapkan berbanyak-banyak terima kasih kepada Yang Berhormat Setiausaha Kerajaan Negeri, Yang Arif Peguam Besar Negeri, Yang Berbahagia Setiausaha Kawangan Negeri, Yang Berbahagia Setiausaha Persekutuan, Yang Berbahagia Timbalan-timbalan Setiausaha Kerajaan Negeri, semua setiausaha tetap kementerian, semua ketua jabatan dan agensi kerajaan, dan para pegawai dan petugas khas, pihak media dan semua pihak yang telah bertungkus lumus dalam memberikan segala komitmen dalam melaksanakan persidangan kali ini. Ahli-ahli yang berhormat, kita telah sampai ke penghujung Mesyuarat Kedua Penggal Pertama Dewan Undangan Negeri ke-19. Bagi pihak Dewan yang mulia ini juga, saya mengucapkan Selamat Hari Raya, Selamat Hari Gawai kepada semua yang meraihkannya. Gayu Guru, Gerai Nyamai, Lantang Senang, Celap Lindap, Nguan Menua. Saya berdoa agar ahli-ahli yang berhormat dan sekalian yang hadir akan terus memberi perkhidmatan yang terbaik kepada rakyat jelata. Saya akhiri sidang Dewan pada kali ini dengan 3 rangkap pantun. Mesyuarat Kedua Penggal Pertama, YB berbahas bermadah indah. Kestabilan negeri agenda utama, rang undang-undang dilulus mudah. Sungguh tinggi gunung Serapi, puncak menghijau, menyejuk hati. Hak negeri dikawal rapi, YAB Premier pemimpin sejati. Di Dun Sarawak, janji dimenterai, adun berkhidmat tanpa jemu. Tiba masanya kita bersurai, sidang bajet insya-Allah bertemu. Ahli yang berhormat, with that the House is now adjourned. Sinidai.